let me start again because it seems like I was on mute. So welcome to the live stream, the Advanced Dungeons and Dynamics 365 live stream. And what we're going to be doing here is configuring Dynamics from the ground up. And if everything goes right and the audio works properly, then what we're going to do is we're going to have the entire system configured in I don't know how many episodes. So I'm considering that we're on the general ledger, we've done the organization, the general ledger, the cash and bank management, and now we're on the fourth of possibly 10 modules. Then it may be a little bit of a while, but it gives me something to do. So today what we're going to do is we're going to finish off something that we were doing in the past live stream, and that is we're going to be working with customers. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something, or I'm going to show you one thing at least, and then maybe some other options on importing the records. And so we're going to create some customers, but we're going to use the worksheet templates. So this should be interesting, and fingers crossed, both fingers crossed, everything's going to work and the import's going to work. So what we've been doing up until this point is we've been working through our Dynamics 365 environment. And if I go back to see where we were before, we were in the accounts receivable area, and we were setting up some customers. So we set up some customers here. We set up Desura as the main customer. Then we set up the Fiery Dragon, and then I've got also the Stalwart Stag Outfitters and the Yawning Portal. We can go out and we can create these by individually if we want, but we may have a group of customers that we're managing. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through the documentation. So what we're working through here is the customer management. So the customer management profile. And what we've done so far is we've gone out, we've set up the number sequences, and we've created some customers. So where I left off, the setting up of the customer account, where I left off was we were about to start with the customer import templates. And as I said, this is if you've got a lot of data, then doing things one by one, although it will give you probably better results. If you've got like 100 customers, you can't possibly do that in a timely fashion. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how you can create templates. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the worksheet template to start off with. Then I'll show you a couple of different options that are there, and possibly something else, or maybe we'll actually start with that. So let's move over to our environment. And one thing that we've got is everyone knows, or everyone should be familiar with the Office integration. And so what we can do is we can go out and we can we can actually download a template for the customers. If I open that up, then that should open up my Excel template. This is one that I was using just before to test that. Let's double check that it's opening that. And what it's going to do is it's going to create this Excel file, and then we can open it. And then what that will do is they'll open up the Dynamics add-in for Excel. It's going to authenticate you based off your criteria. And what we can see here is we've got all of the customer information showing up, and we can go out and we can, in this case, a lot of things that people show us, we can go out and we can modify this, and we can change, for example, the customer group. If I choose the customer group, then the connector usually should show us the list of customer groups here in the dropdown. Or let's see if we see some others for the state. It's not doing that for us right now. But this is, we can go out and we can make adjustments to this directly through this view. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to go out and let's close this down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a technique which is going out and using the workbook designer. And what you do is you can access the workbook designer through the common module, and then there's Office integration, and then Excel workbook designer. Now, in this case, even though using the search at the top is my favorite way, which I can use, then I for some reason I always go through the menu. But if I go out and if I'm here within the system, let me just go to the main form, and if I just do a search, then the Excel workbook designer is going to show up. We can, and notice that we can actually find this through the org administration as well. So there's two different options there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out and create a custom template. And this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for an entity that we have that we can use to import in the data. Now, a data entity goes out and sort of takes all the tables that we need and then puts it into one item so that we can go out and update multiple pieces of information. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll show one example. So say, for example, if we wanted to update the customer groups, then I can go out and I can create a data entity here, and I could, or a Excel workbook, and let's put in the terms of payment, and that's pretty much all we need. And then, so what I'm doing is I'm choosing the fields that I want, and then I can go out and I can say I want to create a new workbook, and it's going to allow me to download that. And if I open this, it's going to open up Excel. I can enable editing, and then if everything is good, then yeah. So what we've got is we've got our customer groups all showing up. So so if we have a customer group here, maybe we want to create another customer group. Then what I can do is I can create a new line here, and I'm just looking through blacksmith. Let's do tanneries. Well, let's do tanners. And what I'm doing is I'm just going out and creating the record. So now that I've done that, I can go out and I can say I want to publish this. And it's now gone out, it's actually gone out and published that. So if I close this down, and I'm not going to save that, then if I go and find the customer groups, then what we'll find is that the tanners has now been added to the customer group. So this is a really important tool that we can use. As you can see, I'm procrastinating on creating the customers because I'm scared that this isn't going to work, but let's try that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the customer entity. Now, there's actually three entities. So there's a customer entity here, and notice it's marked obsolete. And then if we go down further, then we've got customer V2 and customers V3. What we want to do is we want to look for the latest version of this so that we can use it. So I'm choosing the third one. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the company, customer account. I'm going to choose the party type. We'll sort of build up on this. So remember, all customers can be organizations or they can be people. And then let's also choose the customer group and the currency. So I'm going to stop there and just look at that. I'm going to create a new workbook. I'm going to download this and I'm going to open it. It's going to open up in Excel. And then I'm going to enable editing. And what should happen is we can see all of our customers that are showing up. So what? Oh, I'm so silly. So let's go back, do that again, because you all didn't, or did you? So what I did is I went to found the customers. I'm not quite sure whether you saw that or not. And I went out and created this table here. So all I did is I did the search and I added these. So just use your imagination for the rest of it that you may have missed. But I'm going to say I want to create a workbook. I'm going to download that. And then I'm going to open up this workbook. So when I enable the editing here, then what's going to happen is all of the customers are going to come through here in the system. So what we've got is we've got all of our customers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new record here. So let's see how this works. And let me see if I can find this. Actually, we made a mistake. And what I've realized, I need to have the description of the person as well. So I'm going to choose the name here. So let's check to make sure that this is the right version. And then also what I'm going to let's create the workbook again. Let's open this file. So now we've got the name in here. So okay. So that's actually the wrong name. So I'm going to go out of here and I'm going to do some tweaking. I'm going to remove the name. I'm going to add the name or description to this. And let's create the workbook again. So some of this is going to be a little bit of trial and error as we go through. And let me enable this. Okay, so we've now got the customer coming through, and let's try to create this. And let's call this this is going to be an organization. And what we're going to do is this is going to be a tavern. And they're going to work in Faerûnian standard dollars. And we're going to give them a name. So let's publish this and see what happens. So it's giving us an error. And what it's saying is that there was a bad request, and let's see. So that that failed with the update. So let me just publish this again. So this is what we're doing is we're getting errors as we're sort of moving through this, and I think that's because we may not have the correct values in there. So is there a, let's see. Okay. So what I'm going to do, instead of having the name or description showing up here, I'm going to choose the organization name. And let's try this once more before we continue on. So let's try this once more. We'll do Water Deep Trading Company. They're going to be tavern, from standard dollars. And let's publish that. Okay, so that worked. So thank goodness for that, because that would have been embarrassing. So now we've gone out and we've done that. I'm going to go out and let's create a new tab here. And let's go over to our customers. So now when we look at our customers, we're going to see the melting pot in. And we've got just the bare information that we need here for this customer. So we've got the account number, and then we've got the name, and we've got the tavern. Now, one reason why we want to use these templates to go out and create this is because when we're creating records like customers, then there is going to be a party associated with it, and a party is in the global address book and associated with the account or the customer or whatever we're working with. So I only said I wanted to create a customer, but the entity understood that I wanted to create that and create a party. So if I go somewhere else, and if I go to the global address book, so this is where all the information is stored, then we'll actually see that we've got the melting pot in has been created as a party, and then they will have addresses here inside of the account. So now what we can do is we've got some core information, and then if we look at this, then we can go out and we can see that this is attached to a customer because this is grayed out. But we've gone out and now we've got both of these records, and we've only created one in the meantime. Now, also what we can do is when we're in here, then what we can do is we can go out and add some more information. So I could add let's check something. Let's add the postal code to this. And so this, let's see what happens when we go out and create that. Then what's going to happen is we should see the postal code coming from the addresses. So now we've got a postal code. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here. But what I'm thinking is going to happen is this should go out and create a default address for us. So if I go back to Dynamics again, and back to my customer, and refresh this record, then now notice we've got an address. It doesn't have a name or description. But if I go in and edit this, then we'll be able to go and do that. So this is going to be the main office for the melting pot. Now, what I do when I'm working through this is that I could, I'm sort of building up this template along the way. And if I want to pull in other information, for example, we can pull in the first name. We can pull in the last name, Hijkl. I'm not going to pull in the last name prefix or anything like that. And then also what we can do is if we notice here, when we're looking at like the state, there's multiple records. So I'm not quite sure which one this is. So I'm going to choose the first one, and then I'm going to choose the street. And I'm going to choose the city for the address. And then also, because we're in Faerûn, then we use the district. So I'm going to pull that in. So now I'm going to create this workbook and download it again and open it. Now I can, if I enable the editing here, then now what we've got, okay, so this worked pretty well. So what we've now got is we've got the first name and the last name of the people. We've got the name of the organization. And also I could say this is let's publish this and let's see what happens. See, so this is okay, so this is giving us an error, but it's a good error because this should be the sort coast instead of DC. Let's publish this once more, and now this has updated the customer record. And then if I return back to Dynamics and look at the customer record, then now we can see that the address has been updated. So what I do is I go out and I create more detailed records here, and then when I finally got the right configuration here, then I save this, and this becomes my sort of like my standard way that I want to use this import. Now, something else that we can do that I don't have in the documentation is that we can go out and we can use the data management tools. So the data management option for importing and exporting customers is pretty simple. So what I can do is I can say I want to create a new export project. And this is going to be customers, and it's going to be customers. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to add an entity. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the customer's entity that we had there. And then I'm going to say that I want this as an Excel file. And I'm going to add this. Then what this does is this goes out and creates a project for us, which is fine, just a couple of errors. And then what I can do is I can say I want to export this. So this is another alternative. I like the Excel version myself. And this is going to go out and create a package for us. And then in a second, this is going to run, and so it's executing now, and then it's executed. And then once it's finished, then what we can do is we should be able to download the package that's here. So this is a little bit more work, but it's already been predefined for us. If I open up this file here, then here's my downloads, and if I extract all this, then what we'll see inside of the zip file is an Excel file which is in this case a blank file, for importing in the customers. So that actually should have returned back some values, which again is why using the document tools or the Excel workbook designer works better. So let me just go back here. So I think I may have, let me go to the job history. Okay, I actually did this the wrong way. What I should have done is I should have gone into the package and say download the package, and it's going to download the package again because it said that it processed 5 records for us. Let me open this once more, extract all. And then if I look at the customers file, now we've actually got all of the customers coming in here in the import template. So once you've got this, what you can do is you can go out and you can just use this as a template and paste in whatever other information you want. And then if let me close some of these down. Close this down. Let's just tidy things up a little bit. Then what we can do for the final part is I can actually import this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to import this, but I want to import this as a package. And then if I go to my downloads, which are here, and import in the zip file that's there, and close this, then what it's going to do is it's going to take all this information and it's going to allow me then to just click import, and it's going to bring in and overwrite the records that I've got. So this is another way that we can go and maintain these. So now, one final item that we've got, let me just look, is I've got a note here talking about ways that you can go and you can edit customers or edit the customer records. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend just a couple more minutes before we finish off today talking about that, and I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. So let's move back to my environment, and let's go back here to the customers. So I've got some of the information here. And what I can do is I can go out and I can open up any of this information. So say, for example, if I go into the melting pot, then we can see that there's some information that's missing. So we're missing, for example, the phone number. So I can put and I can just paste this in. So this is one way that we can go and make changes, and then we can go out and we can update a lot of this information. So we've got segments and terms of payment and so forth here within the view. But if, for example, we've got this information and maybe we want to make large scale updates, then what we can do, I just made this a little bit smaller, not to hide things, but I can go and insert a column, and what I can do is I can add fields to this. So I can add the terms of payment and add that directly here into our form. So notice here, now I've got the terms of payment showing up. Now, the difference is that this is now a maintainable record that I can go out and I can use. So now I've got I can modify the terms of payment, and then also what I can do is I can save this as a new view, and now that allows me to always have this field available to me. So I can go back to the standard view. I could look at all this information. but also I can move over and maintain the customer manually directly here. So if we needed to change any information, we could do this. Another thing that you can do is you can, let's try doing this. Let's export all of the rows. So what we can do is we can export all of these rows, and it's going to create, it should create the Excel file for me with all the customer records. Then we can copy it, we can make changes inside of Excel, and then we can paste it back into the system. So there's a number of different ways we can go out and maintain. But what I wanted to do to finish off this section was really show that after you are creating customers, then you can go out and you can use the import functions to go and grab and pull in and ingest all of the customers. And we're going to use this a lot throughout this series, where we're going out and we're going to be creating, importing in like products or vendors or all of the larger sort of bulk master records in the system. So with that said, what we're going to do is we're going to finish off. We've gone around about 3 minutes over, but also we showed a lot more with the maintenance along the way. So if I hope this was interesting. It gives you a little bit of insight on how we can go out and maintain and manipulate, in this case, customer data. If anyone's interested in learning more and supporting the project, then I've got a QR code up there, but you can go to patreon.com/ADND365 and support us if you choose to, because what we're doing is we're trying to create these labs and create this environment so that everyone can be a little bit more understanding of how Dynamics works. So with that said, we'll close off and leave this until the next stream, which we're going to be, if I'm right, we're going to be looking at customer invoicing, and we're going to create our first customer invoice in the system, which should be interesting. And then after that, we're going to move to collections and some other items. So I'm going to stop here and leave everyone to get back to their real job. Bye.